We are on it this afternoon with things going down. I'm going to recap some of that stuff here in just a minute. First up, we've got the weather to deal with this afternoon. I just got an update. We tend to get fresh information sometime around 4 o'clock every afternoon, and even it's already on the radar in, entering the state. So what we have is the line, so to speak. It's kind of scattered right now. Some of you may get some little storms out ahead of it, but it looks to be a little bit delayed. It may not be in here till after 7 or 8 o'clock for some people in the listening area. And keep in mind, we have a huge sort of circle that we broadcast to that goes from state line to state line. So if you're over in Mississippi, you're going to catch this heavy storm activity earlier in the evening than our folks back off to the east and toward the Georgia line. So just know that it's drifting right on through. Could pack a punch tonight. No real tornado parameters in it, but could be some light hail, definitely wind and lightning, and some downpours as it moves on through. It looks very similar to what we dealt with on Saturday night, which largely came through without too much damage. So we're in spring. Here comes storm season. Be on the lookout for that this evening while you're out and about. That reminds me of Ox Foundation Solutions and all the work they do to help people take care of their homes. Moving water and our terrain and our soil and our climate are all conditions, and a lot of shifts and cracks and things that go wrong with foundations and basements around Alabama and Birmingham. This is a complete company, a professional, top-notch company that does all of these services. You got some companies, I guess, that specialize in water removal, or some that just do encapsulation. These are full-fledged house fixers. They can level your whole house, fix any of the cracks or any of the intrusion that's coming in. Sometimes all these are interconnected, and the water that eventually gets in sets up and starts causing moisture problems. And man, you need that mold removed. You need the encapsulation done. They'll get you dried out, get your house level, get you protected from the mold, and get you encapsulated. This is who I would send to your house. I've got a little project this year that might require some encapsulation. I'm going to have them come do it because I trust them. It's oxstrong.com, O-X, oxstrong.com. Y'all reach out to them and let's get this done here in the busyness of springtime. Well, all the news today, for the most part, the heavy stuff is all around oil and the price of gas and the war in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. We've had huge developments today, and I've been kind of tracking this. I think it makes a long-term point, but let me see if I can recap some of what has happened overnight. You had a spike in the per barrel price of 108. It went up to $118 a barrel. And that was freaking out the stock market because we've already had a huge run up, and that would have put oil up almost double since the war started. And this was all over fears that boats are not going to be able to get through the strait. Iran made their threats. The insurance companies made their threats. These are a lot of European companies that insure these shipments, and they play politics with it too. They're definitely trying to interfere. They weren't reasonable. Trump broke that logjam. There were people on the left here in this country that are looking for anything to get on the man, and suddenly they were blaming everything directly on him and ignoring the tremendous dividends that we're going to get when this is all settled. And so with the announcement last week that finally got into place that we would insure shipments and that we'd have naval escorts and or aerial escorts of these ships, today, ships finally started going through. And the rest of the world didn't know they were originally going through because they were turning off their transponders so they couldn't be tracked on these online apps. So you had vapid news anchors standing around staring at a live map of the ship trackers going, look, there's no ships going through. They were going through the whole time. And then the word got out to the world. And then all it took was a few to start flowing. And then the rest started flowing because they need to get the oil moved. And so immediately this afternoon, the price per barrel dropped almost $40 in just a few hours today. And now we're back down to the low 80s. We're getting back into reasonable territory, especially considering the possibilities of disruption with this war. And so that was a logjam. That was a chokehold on the world that has now been at least temporarily resolved, and it's letting people go back to being calm. And by that standard, the Dow futures went from being up down 1,000 today to the markets on the Dow closed at 250, a nice up day after only 9 days at war. That's a good sign. At least it has some upward pressure. People are going to dive back into the industrials, particularly and try to recover some of their losses from bailing out, get some basement buys. If they get some answers to a couple of questions, one, is the oil going to keep flowing? And two, when is the end of this thing? I mean, what's the exit strategy? Is this some long-term deal, or are we going to see the other side of it pretty soon? So having said all that, Trump is going to make some speech that the White House has telegraphed that he'll give at 4:30, waited for the markets to close. And he's going to announce something at 4:30 from down at Mar-a-Lago. He's with a group of Republicans right now at some fundraiser event, doing what politicians have to do from time to time. And then he's going to go over to their, they've got sort of a press briefing room with the traveling corps that follows him around. He's going to take some questions. Then he's going to get on a plane and go back to Washington. It's believed, and this also created some optimism, there's just a few rumors, that he's not really going to announce an end to the war, but an end to some of our activity because our objectives have been met, just as Pete Hegseth laid out, and so did Rubio right from the beginning. It never was going to be an Iraq. People misjudged this thing. It never was going to be us getting into some protracted ownership of a third world country. By the way, Iran's not a third world country. They were being run by third world maniacs, but this is a very progressive, in the international definition of the word, very westernized people, very pro-American on the ground. And the people there that are hiding and waiting to come out of their houses and apartments and take their country back are very grateful that we came to their rescue. And I think they're going to take their country back over, and peace could reign in that region. This also frees Libya. There's possibilities to get Yemen from being a rock-throwing third world hellhole to a productive country, because you don't have the sponsorship of the Iranians and the ongoing threats to their neighbors. One of the other things that drew the Arab nations into this conflict wasn't just years of tension with Iran. It was the fact that intelligence showed the Iranians had dedicated missiles pointed at every one of their neighbors prior to our bombing. They were prepared for some end times provocation to start a war in the whole world. It sounds crazy to us, but it's what the mullahs that run that place fundamentally believe. Their citizens underneath them, some are Muslim, some are not, most are, but they really don't believe that stuff. They are Muslim, but they don't believe the extreme version, the fundamental, literal version that these mullahs believe and have instituted on their citizens. I thought it was interesting today, too. The ambassador from Israel to the UN gave a speech, and he made a direct appeal to the women in that country that soon they would be free to go and live their lives and dress like they want and vote and work in other disciplines and do things they haven't been allowed to do, some of which in their entire lives, but for the last 47 years. It's been an amazing sequence of events. We don't know what Trump's going to say, but everything seemed to take a positive turn today. Much to the chagrin of haters that are looking for us to lose, people in the Democrat Party that want our country to lose a war or to get bogged down, or they're praying for death of our troops so that they can exploit it. They're praying for high gas prices for you so they can exploit it. They've got our government shut down in the midst of all this, and the lines that people are seeing at the airports. We had a terror attack in New York City this weekend, ISIS-inspired terror attack near the mayor's house, the Muslim mayor's house. And New York City's having to deal with that, and they made those 2 arrests. By the way, I got to say it again as we get this half hour started. What an amazing act of bravery with those New York City police running toward a lit bomb with a smoking fuse like it was a cartoon bomb and grabbing it. And thank God those things didn't go off. It would have killed those officers who came to the rescue of those protesters. I don't care what they were protesting. I'm not on anybody's side of that protest. I don't know. They were at the mayor's house yelling at the mayor for being Muslim or something. Screw them. I don't care. We don't throw bombs at protest in this country. And so all that went down over the weekend. And in the midst of that, in this ongoing threat, these terror watch lists, by the way, these guys, red flags all over them. They've been traveling over to overseas to get training for their radicalization. Turned out the training wasn't that good. But we got to keep our heads on a swivel. We got to keep watching these airports. There were disruptions all weekend with phony bomb threats on planes and other stupid stuff. And the Democrats still have the government closed. They still refuse to go along with allowing Homeland Security in particular to get its funding back so they can, in this time, protect us. They don't care. anything they can do to spread misery and make people feel confused or disoriented or not happy, they think that's their only shot at winning in the midterms. Meantime, what are the Republicans doing? Sitting on their hands. They haven't done anything aggressive to move the filibuster obstacle back to a simple majority, to get these things passed, to get the SAVE Act passed, to get any of these initiatives, to get these judicial appointments through, to do the things we need to do to ensconce some of these reforms, because all this gets wiped out. You know what they're obsessed with? John Cornyn, getting one of their own elected in a state where his own citizens are ready to throw him out of the Senate. It is a closed circle of people that tend to look out for themselves, and that's exactly what they're doing. Now, speaking of politics, let's come home for a minute. I haven't had a chance to get this in the air. There's some new polling in our Senate race here in Alabama. It's going to get really in earnest here in the next few days as we're heading headlong into the primary. A little bit of a surprise, but not as much, and you can see sort of a dynamic breaking out in the U.S. Senate race. Now, I know there are multiple candidates in this race, and I'm not going to call everybody's names because there are top three at the top that are more well-known. And I'll try to eventually interview all these guys. Of course, y'all know I'm friends with Jared Hudson and have had him on the show many times over the years, just because of his work in child rescue and some of these other things as a friend of the show. But I will have these other candidates in here eventually, and in a serious long-term interview. There'll be some candidate forums and all that. But polling today came out, and Barry Moore, congressman from down in South Alabama, a lot of you are just getting to know who he is in this part of the state. But he has, in this poll, been put into the lead. I think he was at like 22%. Steve Marshall, who was the immediate leader, being the sitting attorney general with more statewide recognition, came in that poll, I want to say 16 or so. Jared Hudson's in the mix in the top three. And of course, a political unknown. So what's going on with all that? One, also, Moore is picking up a lot of endorsements from the federal level, being a sitting congressperson. So he's got Trump's team. He's got his fellow House members. I believe the Freedom Caucus today picked up Turning Point. So you have a weird dynamic where Marshall, I believe, has a lot of Montgomery type support, having been the attorney general. Moore has a little bit of the sort of Washington support, national level support. And Jared Hudson remains the outsider. And so those are all calling cards for each of them. I think the problem for Marshall is he's raised a lot of money early, tried to get out front and start spending it. You remember he was up in the holidays on the radio and television with an ad campaign, but largely he spent his money too soon. It was ineffective at running people out of the race. I get the strategy. The strategy is get out front early, make it look unwinnable by upstarts, and then you remain the front runner. But they blew it, and he didn't maintain the lead. And I think his fundraising is not doing as well. And so, and then in the mix of that, here comes Moore to take the lead in that poll. Now, huge undecided. There was like a 47 undecided, and that's natural. It's early. Nobody's paying attention to this race yet. It's just now getting attention. And as they all go up with their various ad campaigns and do more of these forums together, eventually somebody starts making accusations and there's dirt, and then people pay attention, and then we got some heat. But this thing could go down. I don't know. It could go down to a runoff. It looks like it right now, with it being sort of evenly split, and none of the candidates are anywhere close to a majority. But it was a different dynamic. And if you had to, the most disappointed person in that poll has to be the attorney general. I mean, he just does. He has blown a lead, and now he's got to play catch up. And the more unknown candidate with Jared Hudson coming up behind him is now in double digits. So I like it. I like the dynamics. I like a good competitive primary. I hope they keep it clean. I mean, I think all these guys are pretty good guys, and truthfully, they'd probably all vote the same way. So it's going to come down to some judgment calls on the part of voters as to who you think is really going to go up there and try to hold their own and not sell out and, do things like endorse John Cornyn, which I already talked about earlier today, or things like that. But fun times in Alabama as we got the Senate race off to the races. Thought I'd give a few minutes of coverage to that polling that was out today. So there's that. Your mailbox is about to be full of these guys and your and the airwaves. So again, just to to be clear, that poll's meaningless. It's just fun to talk about. It's too early. There's too big an undecided, and the campaigns haven't really begun in earnest. So a lot of stuff could move and shift between now and then, but it's fun to talk about. All right, let's see. Is that going to get us going? Let's do this. Let's go ahead and get the break in here. I'm trying to keep the show on time because when Trump shows up, and AJ, most likely, you know how it is. He probably won't walk out till 5. We've sort of planned the show around this 4:30 appearance, but he'll walk out when he walks out. He's at a previous event, which could run him long. So y'all just hang in here and we'll see if this winds up being anything dramatic for the country this afternoon. Alabama Dental bringing you the show tonight. Just got my checkup that we do every 6 months over there, and it's good to have everything's good to go. It was good to see Dr. Brian again. What a great guy. He's become a good friend too over the years. Y'all, this really is a comprehensive dental practice. They do all of it. They got 4 dentists. All these guys have different specialties. They've got a huge team of dental hygienists and other experts in the staff. A lot of good technology investment, crazy good hours. I mean, keeping the doors open until 7 in the evening. Well, I guess now that the time change, that's not so bad. But then, of course, they got Saturday hours where they'll have staffing on Saturday where they can get you in there when it's so difficult to get everything done in your life. I get it, man. Get this done and make Alabama Dental your dentist, and you'll love the practice. It's alabamadental.com online for your appointment, alabamadental.com. Back here in just a minute. All right, y'all, let's keep on trucking this afternoon, waiting on the president. All American Metals bringing you the show tonight. All American AA-metal.com. People reach out to me all say, give me that website again. It's All American Metals. I love their patriotic name. These guys are all patriots, just good and hardworking steel folks. Two families that go back to the 60s putting up steel projects. And I'm telling you, what you're going to get here is real hands-on customization of your plans, of the production of the building. They control their whole manufacturing process and make all the parts. That way, when they put their kit together, they're not waiting on somebody else to let them down or send something in that's mismatched. They're going to check and triple check it and then put it on the truck and get it delivered to your site. If you need help with some of the other elements, they can point you to other experts for, I don't know, maybe your foundation, or if you need a contractor to get it vertical for you. All I know is steel is an incredible value in construction, whether it's a residential project like mine or it's something bigger, a big commercial warehouse or retail build outs or anything that involves steel and steel components. It's good to have a local company that you can trust. Their prices, well, let me start here. Their turnaround is quicker than the big corporate entities that do this stuff. Their buildings are custom, so it's going to be what you really need. And they'll help you think through that process. And their prices are better. And their delivery is quicker. It's just better all the way around. Work with the good local folks at aa-metal.com. If you've got a building to be built this year of any type, maybe you're going to grow your business or expand something or put something good on your land or on your personal property to take care of your hobbies and your things, it's aa-metal.com, aa-metal.com. All right, so we're in this war environment, basically, and there's still security breaches and things that happen from time to time. Here's something else in New York. Apparently, Trump Tower was, quote, breached by an intruder. Now, this is not the first time for Trump Tower. You got these crazy-ass people that just see Trump's name and spaz out and run up into the Trump Tower. Trump's not there. And so the Secret Service and the bomb squad are there checking everything. In this environment, there are two things. One, you're going to have false alarms like we had this weekend in the airline industry. We're doing so, by the way, because of the Democrats with less ability to have federal personnel check this stuff out. So you've got a little bit of that going on just because we're in this world right now. But secondly, you've got to be extra thorough. Whenever there's any suspicion and people are seeing things and calling it in, the police can't take a chance on writing anything off. They got to bring the whole A team and check out every threat in a threat environment. All the security levels are for law enforcement agencies and others around the country at a pretty high level. So it's a good thing we got these guys out there working to secure it. It's just like I pointed out earlier, those New York City police, which stepped up and snatched those bombs, real bombs that were made out of a huge, I think it's called TATP explosive. That was one of the bravest things I've seen police do in a long time. And they no doubt saved lives, that and the incompetence of these ISIS bombers this weekend. So despite some of the good news that has come out of the war, we're still braced for other activity. You never know when some knucklehead is going to take a pot shot or there's going to be some wannabe terror group to try to lash out. But all in all, that is part of modern day warfare, and it's part of what's going on in the world everywhere. The Western nations have to be watching out. As for the battlefield and the front and everything that's happening there, we've got total control of that place. Our military has done an exceptional job in what some thought would take 4 weeks has only taken 9 days. We're ahead of schedule and things are under control. We're just waiting for the next phase and the next development. And maybe that's what the president's going to talk about if and when he shows up tonight. News conference coming up here in just a little bit. We'll go to that live. In between time, we'll take our short bottom of the hour break and maybe come back and take a few more phone calls on this stuff. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Y'all hang in there. It's 4:35, Leland Live as we get cranked back up here this hour. AJ, this weekend, I think it was it last night? I'm watching a movie and, or maybe it was Saturday night, but I looked down and Perry Cronin is calling me at like 9:30 at night. Perry Cronin? What's he want? He's my tax guy. What the hell's he want? So I called him back and it was a butt dial. It was just, he and I both interrupted each other Saturday night. He pocket dialed me, but that's okay. Man, what a good guy. I love having him on the show, especially this time of the year when things are so sensitive with your taxes as people are trying to get it together. Just normally, if your taxes are fine, you've paid all your stuff, you're up to date, and then you got to deal with that beast again every year. Think about going through that and then knowing you owe back taxes, that there were other issues in the past that are still trailing your tax filings. Or some people fall into this advice where they just don't file. There's some redneck accountants out there that will say, if you don't file, they won't know what you owe. They know. They already have your information. It's the weirdest system. They have all the info, but they make you file a form and guess at what you owe. You guess at what you need to have deducted. It's a game. And then sometimes you're right. Most of the time you're right if you got a competent CPA. Sometimes you're wrong because you're wrong or they're wrong. It is so messy and complicated. Perry is not going to judge you. He's going to help you. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, he knows the laws. He knows what's allowed. He knows what the deadlines are. He told me a story one time where he had a client from the radio show that had an outstanding debt. It was a legitimate debt to the IRS. And he took a look at everything and they said, well, what do we do? He said, don't do anything. And they said, what? He goes, they've already missed their deadline to collect. Their deadlines that are incumbent upon the federal government, they're not going to tell you about. The IRS wouldn't tell you that. They're just going to keep hounding you till you pay up. So it's good to have an advisor, and you don't want to take them on alone. They've just got too much power and the ability to confuse. But when you've got competent representation that knows the law and the rules better than they do and can help you work this down, the truth is a lot of these folks that work at the IRS will work with you if you're not running from them. They're not going to stalk you if you're trying to get it worked out. That slows the whole thing down. Gets you some peace in your life. And that's what we all want. You want to be able to sleep at night. It's a tough time. I get it. And here comes another deadline. Let Perry help. It's Axiom Tax Resolution Group, 205tax.com, 205tax.com. Y'all reach out. Hey, did I mention he's local? And that's such a good thing. You're not dealing with some referral-based national business that's going to send you to a random CPA. Perry can work with you face-to-face, and that's important. Some of these matters are very private and some people can get a little embarrassed trying to deal with this. Don't worry about it. Perry will sit down with you. Y'all get a cup of coffee and let's get this behind you. It's Axiom Tax Resolution Group, 205tax.com, 205tax.com. Man, we've been chasing so many stories today. I've just gone back and forth. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything. I'm kind of a little bit in stall mode because we're waiting to see when the president's going to pop out. He's supposed to have some announcement today related to the war. And that was, as always with the president, he does things when he wants to. I'll give him this. A lot of presidents were notorious for being late to news conferences. Bush was not one. He was like the early riser that got there early and used to drive the press corps crazy. Obama was notoriously late. So was Bill Clinton. And so is Trump. Some of these guys just go when they're ready to go. But outside of them doing things according to their schedule, granted, he's got a lot going on, he answers questions. In my lifetime, I've never seen a president this open ever to answering any questioner at any time, all the time, all day long. He'll do 4 or 5 news conferences a day. Now, we had an eggplant for a president during Biden who was completely, his whole presidency was scripted. He wasn't even really the president. And we got used to him going into hiding. And when he did do a news conference, he knew what questions were coming. He'd answer them according to the answers they gave him, and he'd call them 4 people and walk off. And I don't know how we just got conditioned to accept that, but we did. And this has just been I'm going to miss this daily updates from the White House, not from some spokesperson, which he has an excellent spokesperson, but the man himself steps in front of the camera in front of an extremely hostile media. You think about Biden and even Obama. I mean, they got a back rub from the media compared to what Trump gets every day. Now, I will say the core that follows him around now or more respectful than they were. They still ask ridiculous, politically oriented, and charged questions, but they don't yell at him like that. If y'all remember just a few years ago when Trump was president and he'd do a news gaggle and you couldn't hear the question, they were screaming in the White House at the new president because of the vitriol and the lack of professionalism. But they've toned some of that down. They've learned he's not playing around, and he'll call them out too because he's not afraid of them. He doesn't need them. He's never needed them, and he's managed to win without them. And so whatever's going to happen, whatever he's going to announce, whether it's dramatic or just some side thing, but we think it's positive news in that we're achieving some objectives and we've got some scope on how this Iran situation is going to get worked out. And I think it may also involve this. There's a side story today. Let me revisit this for a second. And my heart is with these young women. The Iranian women's soccer team, as many of you know, in some tournament they were having in Australia, decided they were not going to sing this the anthem, the equivalent of the Iranian national anthem, which is really an anthem to the mullahs and the terrorists that run that country. And they see this moment in time and this freedom, and in an act of defiance, they did not stand for that anthem and did not sing along, which was highly embarrassing to their government back home, but probably inspiring to their people. Well, that's a death sentence. You can be killed for anything in that culture and in that country. And so the question became after the tournament was over, can they go home after that incident? And so it was very questionable. And at some point, the Australians were going to make them leave. I mean, they just didn't want to get involved in it. And Trump got involved. He called out the Australians, wound up on the phone with the prime minister, and he sort of gave a vague response, but said that 5 of these women have, quote, been taken care of. In other words, they're either going to get passage to the United States or get refuge in a country that will take them, that will shield them from this Iranian threat of their own government. And others felt like, sadly, they've got to go back to Iran because they left their family behind. They feared that if they don't go home, their family will be next under the threat. So bravely, they stood there in front of the world, stood up for their fellow countrymen and against their government. And now they're going to go home and face whatever punishment may be dealt out to them, which is it's very very sad, but also a fascinating component. You know, we've had moments in the Olympics and other international sporting events where these kind of things happen during tense times. I mean, we could go through them all the way back to the beginning of this thing in 1979 when the Iranians took over. The Soviets invaded Afghanistan, and there was a world sort of boycott of the Olympics because the Russians were involved and things that happened along those lines. But this is a story no one expected, but we're kind of watching today. And it was good of Trump to offer some shelter or refuge or put a very heavy voice behind their predicament as these young ladies were trying to figure out whether to go home or not. I mean, they didn't know when they stepped on those planes to leave Iran what was about to go down with the war, and they couldn't have completely predicted it. And I don't know how this moment happened, but it's pretty powerful stuff. These people are resilient, they're smart, and they're ready to take over their country. And I hope there's just more positive news tonight on top of the other positive news that we've had during the course of the day today. Michelson Laser Vision, right there in downtown Birmingham at UAB Highlands, ready to help you with your eyesight. I'm going on 7 years. It's not 7 full years, but I'm still 2015. It was a great decision. And I've told it over and over again because I'm trying to relate to you hesitant people you're driving your car right now with your smudgy glasses, and some of you got dirty contacts. I was you for 30 plus years. I was you, man. I was lazy about changing my contacts. I didn't really like wearing my glasses, but every now and then I'd give my eyes a break and wear my glasses on a rainy day or something. That was terrible. I was just a terrible glasses wearer. But you couldn't talk me into LASIK. That people would bring that up. I had friends go, "Man, you need to go see Dr. Michelson." I go, "No, I'm not doing that." I just shut it down. So I went in to see him one day because they wanted to come on the show. And then it sounds like a pun because it is, but my eyes were open to how it works, what it's really about. My confidence grew, and I did the surgery, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I encourage you to at least check it out. I mean, do your due diligence and find out if you're medically eligible, and then do what you can to vet this procedure, because it could free you of It opens up your eyes. It gives you part of your life back and frees you of all the stupid stuff that comes with glasses and contacts. And all it takes is that one visit to convince you with the absolute legendary practice, the Michelson practice, downtown UAB Highlands. It's michelsonlaservision.com. Online, if you want to reach out to him and get your appointment, michelsonlaservision.com. Let's get James in here. We'll do a couple calls real quick, and then we'll take it on up to top. We're still kind of stalling, waiting to see whatever Trump's going to do. James, what's up with you tonight?
Hey, Leland. I was enjoying the show, by the way. I was
Thank you.
kind of explaining to AJ that, the American Conference basketball tournament's in town this week.
Yeah.
Down at the Legacy Arena. But I teach at a small school here in Birmingham, Barrett Elementary School.
Yeah.
And the conference showed up today. The president of the American Conference showed up at our school today and gave us $50,000 in cash.
Oh, really?
To do whatever we want to. Amazing. I mean, I don't think they realize what that kind of impact would have on a small school like Barrett Elementary School, but that will affect kids for years and years. But boy, we appreciate it so much. I don't know if they listen to your show, but man, that's a huge deal for us. And we were all shocked. But actually gave us $51,000. They picked one of our teachers and gave her $1,000 to do what she
Well, that's very kind. I have no idea what that's all about, but you're welcome to give them a shout out. That's good work.
Yeah. We really appreciate it. Thank you too, Lee. You do good work, brother.
All right, man. Well, that's kind of you, James. Thank you. Just positive news everywhere. Let's get Joe from Coleman in here real quick too. Joe, what's on your mind tonight?
I've thought about these new alliances forming over in the Middle East, and then the old alliances kind of going away, and it just seems like it's a contradictory type thing to have the open borders crowd over in Europe, the UK, and then London, what's happened with it, and in France, and all those different types, and the invasion of Islam in the countries. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that there's not as much push, there's not as much of a alliance with the United States and Israel is going into Iran is because of those things. But then you've got the European Union and that one world government that's going on at the same time, and there's no borders. We're just all one big world, no nation states that exist. But those things just completely contradict each other, and yet they are allied with each other, against Western civilization right now. The two things that are completely contradictory to Western civilization are contradictory to each other. And that's just this big EU environmentalist, communist type, because this Islamic culture, it's not communist in any way. It's completely totalitarian.
And that's the thing, though. History shows, because this has played out in a small scale in other parts of the world in the past, and history shows the communists and socialists will use any tool they can to gain power. And right now, Islam is helpful to them. It's the enemy of their enemy.
Well, they did it in Nazi Germany, too.
Exactly. And both are the enemies of freedom and individual freedom, people living their lives. And so when those two take power in a place, Islam will eventually eat the commies. Islam will win over the commies. They will kill them.
And we see, and that's why what Donald Trump is doing right now with the different alliances that are forming, it's inevitable.
Yep.
It's got to be done. And he's the only. If not, we're just doomed. As Western civilization in general, as a culture, these things that are going on right now, they've just been delayed. They should have been going on many, many, many years ago, but they've just been delayed. And it's just an interesting. To me, I just thought about that today, and just the differences and how communism's always on the wrong end of history. And then Islam's going to take over communism at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody lives whenever they're in charge.
Islam's, they're more coordinated and have a more brutal strategy. And socialism and communism will, if you left them alone and they didn't have an opponent, they fall apart on their own because of their flawed, stupid economic ideas. And the fact that they're thieves. And once thieves take everything that's available, they don't know how to produce anything. They just run out of stuff and the economies collapse. It happens every time. So yeah, eventually, if those two unholy alliances come together to take over any place, Islam will eventually win out, as it is in the United Kingdom right now. I mean, the United Kingdom is the only Muslim nation that didn't join us in the fight for this thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, see you.
See you, man. Hey, AJ, my camera's following me around again. I just moved and it went with me. I was like, okay, cool. I thought I turned that off. Anyway. All right. We need to take a break. Back here in just a minute. Y'all still stalling. If y'all want to get a couple of shots in on the phones, bring it. Only an hour, 10 minutes left in the show. Still waiting to see whatever Trump's going to announce. Leland Live, Talk 995. By the way, that phone number, 545-9950, Leland Live. All right, just a little bit late, but here's Trump now live from Florida with his comments on the war in a news conference. Let's go there live.
Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. It's on the bottom of the sea. It's almost 50 ships. I was just notified it's 51 ships. I didn't know they had that many. Didn't last very long. And these are fighting vessels. They're meant to fight, but they're not meant to fight against us. We continue to target Iran's drone and missile capabilities. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing has been hit starting today. We know all of the places they manufacture the drones, and they're being hit one after another. Their missile capability is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day, but it's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular, Iranian missile launchers and 83% drop in drone launchers. As you know, the drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over 90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within a period of 5 minutes or less, accurately right on the noggin. So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones, and our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out. We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here. In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe 3 times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with the situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years, whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole, where they were involved very strongly. They always denied it. But they were very strongly involved in all of the people that died through the roadside bombs, died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been so badly damaged. The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years, and despite these countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago, they told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said, they actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated. I was very lucky that we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version. It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear. We want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site. And that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time. It threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So as you probably saw, they had a tremendous number, most of which are now being used or destroyed, and very unsuccessfully used, because we have been able, for the most part, to shoot them all down. What incredible technology. The Patriots have been unbelievable, and other things. And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other...
All right, you're listening to the president live from Mar-a-Lago as he heads back to Washington, D.C., commenting on the war with Iran. This is WZRR-FM in Birmingham, Alabama.
And others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved, and they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect. The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at UAE, Qatar, and others, but they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. Nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons, and all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world, and I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder. Thank you very much for being here. Go ahead. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think so.
Okay, and with respect to...
Very soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
With respect to Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that, and why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history. Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration. They trust Marco, and so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter, because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living the Cuban-American vote, which I got record levels. Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country. And a lot of them are friends of mine because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long time. The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it. And we cut them off from everything else. So, yeah, they're going to make either a deal or we'll do it just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
There's footage that shows that an American missile strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility?
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it. And I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries. You know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more. But whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries. But that's being investigated right now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you
this
could
war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning. It's the beginning of building a new country. But they have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar. They have no telecommunications. And they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. These were ships. These were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off their ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufacture the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment. We have, I believe, the best generals. We have the best. And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us and Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference. And we might have had a much different press conference if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today, it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy, it's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. When a voter, we want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America, and we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men and women's sports, and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children, and we don't want that. So we added those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country, if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period. But we have them under, we've got them. We're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
And then this new leader, do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new Supreme Leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran with
well,
another
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Thank you, sir. You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that you just said that their leadership has been decimated?
I like the idea of, internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the idea of internal, because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired, the politicians got fired. There was nobody. And you know what they turned into? ISIS. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people. But, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a formula that's been very good so far. And I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela, smart country. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil. It's right now in Houston being taken care of and made so beautiful. And you have to see this at work. They have, it's brought to the refineries. It's being refined in Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil, and now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership. We're getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela, and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. What do you consider enough? What's your baseline?
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon. Where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration and say, all right, we're not going to do it. They were not willing to say that. And when Steve called up and he said that to me, I said, well, here we go. Let's do it the hard way. But the hard way, I think, is probably the easy way. When basically I can see that they will no longer have any capacity whatsoever for a very long period of time of developing weaponry that could be used against the United States, Israel, or any of our allies. We have great allies in the Middle East, great countries that are allies. And they were staying out of it until they got hit. Someday they'll have to do a story. Why did he do that? Why did they do that? But they were going to hit them. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe, upon information and belief, but I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite, because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky. I'll tell you what, the Middle East and those countries, very rich countries, are very lucky that I was president instead of somebody else.
Mr. President, are there any points of disagreement between yourself and your vice president when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic. But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete, and everybody was involved, I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing. In the back, please, in the back.
Sir, you said you're considering seizing the Strait of Hormuz. Is there a timeline for that?
About the Strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good. You know, it doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits. But, hey, look, we have a good relationship with China. It's my honor to do it. Yeah.
Supreme Leader, you have called him an unacceptable choice. So does he have a target on his back? And how can you say
I don't want to say whether or not he does because that would be inappropriate. But, hey, look, I had a target on my back because as you people wrote pretty well, they caught the assassin that was after me. So we just got them first, but they caught the assassin. They have him now in custody that was after me. So, but people don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please.
War's almost over, though.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the
Will I
people?
help them? I'd like to, if they can behave. But they've been very menacing. They're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, as of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with the war in Iran. How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
Well, as I said before, when you have conflicts like this, you always have death. And I was at Dover yesterday. I met the parents, and they were unbelievable people. They were unbelievable people, but they all had one thing in common. They said to me one thing, every single one: finish the job, sir. Please finish the job. And I'll leave you at that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
All right, AJ, we'll just bring it on back here. Man, that was quite lengthy and just sort of an update directly from the president. He seemed, as you would expect, optimistic that this thing is winding down with Iran, and it's been a pretty dramatic day. We've gone over and over it as the Strait of Hormuz got reopened. The market seemed to settle. Everything seems to be in control with the war, but still a lot of vagueness on what happens to Iran after this, which is probably less a concern to this administration than just removing the threat. And there's a lot of confidence, as I've expressed even, in the people of Iran to step up and do the right thing if given the chance. If the threat not only to the Iran's neighbors and, of course, the world, but the threat to the Iranian people from the local IRGC police and the others is taken out, and I don't know what our plans are for that. These folks could rise up and become a real modern country that's a very much benefit to the region. Fascinating times that we live in. AJ, I know we got way behind, so I'm going to do a couple of our sponsors real quick, and then we'll do the bottom of the hour break and try to get this thing back on time. If y'all have some comments about what the president had to say, go ahead and bring those, and we will entertain that this hour too. AJ, I was trying to figure out how to get my stupid camera back on.
Hey, don't worry about it. Look,
I still can't figure this thing out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just does what it does, but we'll just leave it like that for a minute. Hey, y'all, check this out. Our good friends at Southern Skies Dermatology are ready to take a look at you. I got a chance to get in there last week, and it's good to get an update. It's good to get, they gave me some options. Here it is. They gave me some options. I had this little thing that came up kind of in my hairline. If you're looking on the screen, it's kind of up in here. You can't really see it, but it's starting to bug me. She said, we can remove that or we can just leave it. You know what? I think I'm going to go back. It's good to know that you're in good hands and you don't have cancer. That's what they're there for. They find and remove skin cancer every day, all the time. And they're just the best at it because they're so focused on it. And I like to think over the years with them being on the show, we have saved some lives. And you guys have written out to the show and let me know that sometimes the people I hear from the most are the ones where they'll find a melanoma and they wouldn't have gone. And it would have just grown and may have taken their lives, and they're relieved and thankful. So I hear from those folks in the audience more. So I know people have had their lives saved from this little nudge I get to give you every day. Y'all get over there and get checked. It's southernskiesdermatology.com, southernskiesdermatology.com. All right, let me kind of vacuum up what the president just said. We'll recap some of that. Let me get you an update on the weather, too, as storms are approaching from the west. Some of it is already in our listening area, and y'all are starting to deal with it. A little bit delayed tonight, still a couple of 3 hours away from the main event, but we'll get you updated on all those things. And again, your phone calls, we've got 30 more minutes to do that. 545-9950. If you want to get in on this thing, we'll take your phone call. Leland Live, Talk 99.5 back here in just a minute. Man, what a weird afternoon. We just got Trump all in here, so now we can kind of do some other things and get on toward the top of the hour. Stockton Mortgage, Thomas, I think, is taking a little vacation break this week, and that gives me a chance to tell you about them. If you're out there, I just had a listener today reach out and say, who's your mortgage company again? I get it. Sometimes y'all are riding down the road and you hear me talk about them, or you hear Thomas call in. You don't have a time to jot everything down. I was happy to send that on. Look, if you're just thinking about it and you want to break down where you are and maybe come up with some scenarios of what kind of programs are out there to fit whatever you're trying to do. Everybody's different. Some people are buying their first home. Some people are sitting on a bunch of equity but like to get rid of some irresponsible debt or do a construction project. Any of these things, they can help you game plan and then start pursuing it with you when you're ready, whether that is improve your credit score a little bit and then do the application. They've got tools to help you with all that. It's savewithstockton.com, savewithstockton.com. They set that up just for this radio show, so you can reach out to them every day and get all these matters taken care of. Good folks over there, savewithstockton.com. Okay, let's do the weather because we didn't get a chance to do the top of the hour recap on that as Trump was on when we hit the top of the hour. Big, heavy storm system coming in. This one, to me, looks even more impressive than the one that came through Saturday night. We've got several rounds of this. I think we've got another one potentially on Wednesday night that could be on the stormy side of things. We're in a threat level 2 out of 5, which is not crazy. This is not run to the shelter kind of weather, but we need to be weather aware tonight because we could get some really strong winds when they blow through. A lot of lightning, hail, as it is that time of the year, could be a factor in all this evening. Right now, the western counties in our listening area already catching some of this. There are a couple of little small cells out in front. That always worries me when you got a frontal system come through and you got these little floaters out there. Sometimes those can ramp up in intensity, and that's kind of what hit Trustful a few days ago and caused that big hailstorm over there. So be careful. Again, the timing, it's already in our western counties. So for the center of Birmingham, mainly if you're further north up to around Coleman, you guys will get it maybe within the next hour or so. A little further west and south, it's going to be later in the evening, maybe after 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Again, depending on where you are in the listening area. I was looking at the backside. I sort of put the radar in motion to see when we get an all clear. And that's not till maybe after 10:30 or 11 tonight, as behind the initial part of the storms, there's just a whole lot of rain behind that too. It's springtime. That's what we deal with. And that's what we're dealing with tonight. Y'all, Work Trucks is in downtown Birmingham. They're ready to help you with anything you need in the way of getting a business truck, getting a box truck or a flatbed or one of those vans. They got cargo vans. They got passenger vans. They got all the vans for you down at Work Trucks. And y'all can reach out to them and go downtown and kick tires and get something that you know is going to be ready for the road. They go through all these 125 points. Inspect everything. Even though they have gone out into the market and found the best of these with the lowest miles, they don't trust them to just get them in here and put them on the lot. So they've got this very detailed program of 125 different things that have to be right or it doesn't make the Work Truck standard. Then they put them on the lot. So when you roll up out there and see all those trucks on the lot, those have been vetted for you. They've gone to a lot of trouble to give us these options. So if you're out there looking, look, man, whatever business you're in, that's what you do. If you're an electrician, you got to be doing your job to make money and not being a fleet manager. Let Work Trucks handle that for you and get you a nice pre-owned vehicle with extended warranties if you need warranty work, or of course, financing. If you need that, they'll take your trade in. Bubba and the team just have a great program down there. Again, they're on 3rd Avenue South, Work Trucks, TRUX, Work Trucks, LLC.com, Work Trucks, LLC.com. Okay, let me get some other things in here. It's all been about the oil today. It's been about the oil and the markets and the Strait of Hormuz. And the good news is as the markets work themselves out, and we've talked about this a lot of times today, the strait's now open again. Traffic is moving. That brought the oil back down under $100 at one point. Last night, as we've described over and over, it was up to $118, but it dropped almost $40 today. Now, crude, Brent crude that's traded worldwide, it'll be traded in the overnight markets. But as more and more of those ships are able to safely transverse the Strait of Hormuz, the less that becomes a problem. inevitably in a shooting situation, there could be other things to pop up. But that was great relief to the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, all those markets trying to bounce back and make a comeback in this environment. The president, for his part, just came out and did a pretty long news conference. If I had to give it a bottom line, he believes that the military is ahead of schedule. They've achieved all their objectives, and we're close to the end of the military part of this campaign. Now, the country's still got to be turned over to somebody that can responsibly run it so they're no longer a threat to the region. But even if maniacs take over, they've lost their ability to be threats. It'll take them years to recover their missiles and their Navy and their nuclear capabilities because we have completely defanged whatever craziness may happen. The optimistic side is that the people of Iran, and Trump even mentioned this, they're very sophisticated people, very educated people, very Western-oriented. The street people and the native people in that country that have been yearning for a break from the tyrannical regime that they're living under, this is their opportunity, and I think they see that. I believe their Arab neighbors are coming to the rescue. They're dumping more and more resources into this fight to keep that thing in check, and the Iranians have no friends in the world right now. There is no one but the Russians for their own selfish advantage, trying to give them intelligence. The Chinese are having to withdraw from the whole thing because they've got an energy crisis that's pending, which is a bigger part of this chessboard, was what Trump has done to the world map by us cutting the Chinese off from exploiting the region as well. So it's some big doings and a lot of stuff to consider, and who knows what tomorrow brings in this thing that has dominated the headlines for all these days. Let me flip back to good old American politics. We had mentioned this race. The biggest race in the country coming up in a couple of weeks is a Republican primary in the United States Senate. And that runoff is, 2 weeks from Saturday. And there's a new poll out this afternoon that just came across. It's from something called IA Polls. I'm not sure how legit it is. I haven't had time to vet it for its plus or minus or its accuracy. I haven't even seen the poll questions. But here are the numbers they're spitting out. And people in Texas will tell you this, that Cornyn is wildly disliked in his own state. The reason we bring this up is our own Senator Katie Britt decided to go to bat for Cornyn and endorse him this weekend. She's catching a little flack from the base here in the state of Alabama. The establishment paid for her to be in that seat. She's got to do what they want her to do. This is who they want. It's just a club. It just is. And they've dumped, by some estimates, $100 million onto Cornyn right now, and he's still getting his ass kicked. And this is the kind of polling, if it holds up, and you're going to need more than one poll to make it believable to the Trump team, but there's a huge effort to try to get Trump to endorse in this poll, and that is considered in this poll that just came out. Here's what it reads. Ken Paxton's at 49%, close to the majority that he needs. John Cornyn is behind him by 8 points. And there's an 11% undecided in this poll. That is a huge poll for Ken Paxton in the Republican primary. Then you go down and say if Trump were to endorse Paxton jumps to 58%. Cornyn's at 32%. Paxton wins the race. Then you say if Trump endorses Cornyn, and this poll seems so lopsided, who knows? I'm going to need some more validation, but it's just fun to kick around. If Trump were to come in and endorse the incumbent, the establishment schmuck that has been backstabbing Trump since he showed up on the scene, if he were to do that, Paxton still leads. It's 44-43, statistically tied, but that changes the dynamics of the race heavily. Will Trump get in? A lot of folks are speculating. I don't think maybe he will. Trump's unpredictable on these things. I think his best test is not even loyalty or ideology, because sometimes he'll pick a candidate that hadn't been there for him, as he's done here in Alabama and in some other places. But he needs Cornyn's vote right now. He needs it on the SAVE Act. He needs it on a bunch of other stuff. And I don't think he'll endorse him just to get that vote, but I don't think he'll burn him because he don't want to lose that vote for the rest of the year. Cornyn is spiteful. He is introspective. He is out for himself and his buddies in the country club up there, and he will be very, very spiteful. So I think Trump's best play strategically is to stay out of the Texas race and let the Texans sort it out. That's honoring their will and let Paxton and the team fight it out. This will be fun to watch. We've got what are we at? Almost 3 weeks until that primary. We'll see what the other polling shows as it starts to come in. We had polling today in Alabama showing that South Alabama Congressman Barry Moore is now in the lead in the Senate race here. Of course, we're not doing that until May, but it's not much of a lead. He's only in the low 20s. Nobody's the clear winner. It's kind of a three-way jump ball still, but Jared Hudson holding his own in double digits. If I'm the most disappointed with this poll has to be the Attorney General, who's now dropped to second place after spending a ton of money and trying to become the instant front runner with all the statewide name ID. I think he has blown that lead or that advantage, if it is an advantage. And now you've got a newcomer to politics and somebody who's only regionally known with plenty of time to get his name out there. So that race really starts in earnest any day now. 47% undecided. So that means nobody's paying attention yet, but they're about to be, and that's going to be, like I said earlier in the show, you're going to see, especially the top three, you're going to see, I don't know that the rest of the people in the race have the money to be very visible. It's just a sad fact of the way we do campaigns, but you're about to hear them on the airwaves and see them in your mailbox, and they'll be calling your phone in the middle of the night with their programs bugging the crap out of you. Pretty soon, here comes the Alabama Senate race. All right, let's talk about your booty. And that means man do. Yeah, I said your booty. How you doing with your New Year's resolutions? That was a long time ago. We're already to March now. That old stuff doesn't work, man. If the gym's not working for you anymore and you're struggling just trying to get that part going and it dissuades you because you can't get your diet going, you need to try something new. Try Mandu. Y'all can do the weight loss shots if you want. I kind of come and go with that, and I don't care what you do. But if you are on them and you're having a quick weight loss, that feels good, but you're probably also losing muscle mass and bone density if you're not working out, if you're not getting some strength resistance. That's where Mandu comes in. It's just as efficient. It's a very efficient idea. And go let Paul and his team, and of course our guys over in Tuscaloosa on the university, they've got a location there now. We got a location in Huntsville. This is a really cool idea. It's electronic muscle stimulation. It's not weights and all that resistance training. The electricity kind of does the work. I love it. I've tried it. I've done it. I love it. It works. It makes you feel good. It's intense. So medically decide if you are eligible and then go try it for free. And if you like it, you can sign up for one of their classes. This may be what you need to give you that little push. You get your own dressing room. You get your own space to change out into their gear. You can wear anything. You don't even have to dress for the gym. You can wear anything there, change back into your clothes, and you're on with your day. And by the way, one of my favorite parts, it's only 15 minutes. Your whole body gets a hit in 15 minutes, and you're done for the day. In fact, you can't even come back for another. You can only go every 2 days. It's that intense. Give something new a try with Mandu. You can go to their website and pick a location that works for you, whether it's over in T-Town or Huntsville or, of course, here in Birmingham and Homewood at mandu.com, MANDUU, mandu.com. Quick break, back in a minute. Y'all stay tuned. Oh man, that song fires me up every time. My buddy's in Cattle, part of the Jawbone Jam this year. They're gonna be there. Stone Horses, and of course our headliner this year, man, Brother Kane, Iron City, May 15th. Tickets are still on sale. I haven't even checked in to see how those ticket sales are going, but we're all pumped at the station. 10th anniversary of the station, album release with Brother Kane. Cattle's got an album coming out this year they're working on too. So excited for all these bands. It's going to be a fun night. It is down at Iron City, of course, May 15th. Get your tickets online at the Iron City website. And hey, we'll see y'all there on the 15th. Much more on that as the days go by, as we head into, sure enough, spring and summer. All right, real quick for Distinctive Pools and Gary Levesque and that whole team, talking about summer and spring. If you're thinking about putting a pool on your house, and most people will for a long time, it's a big decision. You gotta decide whether you're really going to pull the trigger on it. And then, man, you need a plan. You need a design. You need to figure out exactly what you want to do. Sometimes it's a jump ball and you just kind of start from scratch. Or either way, maybe you know exactly how you want it to look. Gary Levesque and his team, he's got such a great veteran team of designers and builders. Those guys will build it right. They just don't build cheap, ugly pools that don't fit. That can devalue your house. But if you do it right and you make it special, it's a selling feature. It can add value to your house and look beautiful at the same time. Think about the memories and the grandkids and your friends. And also because they're hardscape experts, they can build you all the outdoor features. And by the way, they will do a la carte. If you don't want a pool right now, maybe you just want the outdoor kitchen or the fireplace, they'll build that for you too. It's a great company. It's called Distinctive Pools. You can see some of the beautiful projects already online when you go there to their website, distinctivepools.com. All right, man, let's jump over here to Dan on line 4. We'll get a couple more calls in as we get ready to wrap things up here on a Monday. Dan, what's on your mind tonight?
Hey, not much, Leland. I would just like to say I think the thing is in Venezuela and Iran is very much so an energy grab. I mean, I say that with the best intentions when I say that, but I really feel like the U.S. is trying to figure out a way how to squeeze China, and the best way to do that for is energy. And Russia and the United States are like the two unique countries other than Saudi and stuff, but talking about key global powers, the U.S. and Russia are the only two people that can absolutely supply their own oil. So when it comes to this Strait of Hormuz or Hormuz and all this stuff, I really feel like the best thing Americans can do right now is to pay $4 or $5 a gallon at the pump, so China can't pay for that.
Well, it's short term. I mean, if you take a long view of this, if you get the Iranian oil back on the world market, because remember it was sanctioned and they were selling it on the side to China at a discount. Same thing with Venezuela with their deal with both China and Cuba. Now that system is over. The world has more oil in a competitive market. It takes some of the power away from Russia as well, because a low barrel price really cripples Russia because they're one-dimensional economy. It is a chess move that has 4 or 5 or 6 consequences alone. And so the Venezuelan situation is a partner in that way with the Iranian situation. And then it both improves the lives of the Cubans, the Venezuelans, the Iranians, the Lebanese, and others in all those regions. And it puts us back in the driver's seat. And I love everything about it. Yeah. Is there short-term pain? Yep. You're going to see that in a war situation, but that all improved today just with getting the strait back open. And that was a huge deal.
Yeah, I would just say as Americans, hey, let's just pay at the pump to secure our freedom. And like worst case scenario, we pay, $3-4 a gallon, and then but the rest of the world bites it. Long story short, hey Leland, I sent you a picture on X with Trump and everybody in his cabinet kind of dressed up. I don't know if you ever seen that or not.
I'll try to look for it. So I get a lot of incoming on social media, so I don't get to see everything.
Yeah, long story short, Trump, Rubio, and Hegseth are a bunch of gangsters operating the government like they were some 90 hip-hop stars, and I absolutely love it.
All right, man, I'll check that out, Dan. I appreciate you, buddy. All right, there's Dan dropping the mic on us tonight. One more time, one last sponsor, man. We had to do some catching up here at the end, and that would be our friends over at Allen and Company. Allen and his whole family, the Thompsons. That's just a wonderful family. We've really gotten close to them over the years. and they got a neat little shop over there. Allen is a master jeweler, and that's really what you need if you want something custom. If you really have something special or something unique, something maybe even unusual, you can get it designed exactly like you want it, with all the symbolism and the colors and the things that you want. They do laser etching. And of course, if you just want a more traditional engagement setting or have that old engagement setting upgraded with a nicer, newer stone, they're there for all that kind of work. And you can trust them with your stuff because they have their own vaults. He does all the work right there. This stuff doesn't have to get shipped to wherever to get worked on. They're going to repair it for you, resize it, fix it, clean it, tighten it, whatever it is you need done can be done right there at Allen & Company. For all your gift giving, the smaller stuff, constantly they have got stuff in the cases ready to be gift wrapped, or the big picture stuff like an engagement or a diamond ring. No pressure whatsoever, because you're dealing with a family that's 2 generations deep and they just want you to be happy. So you keep coming back. That's old school. I love it. Allen & Company in Vestavia. That is going to do it for us tonight. AJ, we will see you tomorrow. Y'all hold it down. Storm's on the way. Could get kind of rough tonight. Should be out of here before midnight.
All right, man. Hey, look, y'all stay safe out there, and tune in tomorrow. Same time, same channel, Talking 99.5 Leading Live. But keep it locked because Breaking Bread is coming up next. Goodbye, AJ.